Hmm. All right. Not seeing anyone here. I'm seeing one person here. Another person. See a couple more people. All right. Okay. Now, what I want to talk about this evening I'm over here now. Back over here. What I wanted to talk about you know, ever since I was little, I have been into music. It's always been something that has stayed with me. And now I have an opportunity to learn what I need to learn and what I've wanted to learn. If I want to become a composer of music, if I want to become a singer, songwriter, something like that. And this is one of the areas that I'm most interested in. And I've been interested in it for a long time, and I think in order to get into the fields of music, being a composer, being a singer or songwriter, you have to understand how to read music, how to interpret music, how to see all the notes on the staff, identify the notes, the rhythms of the notes, melody, key signatures, scales, etc. Measures, time, all those kind of things. And it's really complicated and really technical. And it involves a lot of learning and a lot of different complicated elements to it, parts to it. And you can piece all those parts together in music. And so it's really important to me that I learn all the information and get what I need to understand from the class that I'm taking now, so I can move forward with more advanced classes and then potentially move to upper echelon classes and then do what I want to do and go into being a composer, go into whatever I want to do. The thing that I was worried about from the very beginning is coming true, but not in the way that I exactly thought that it would. Now, from the very beginning, so I did a live stream January through June 2023, where I basically outlined the plans for January through June, so the first part of this year. But I took a lot of time on this live stream talking about music fundamentals teacher and the piano teacher that I have this semester. I took all that time when I talked about the civil rights movement in America. I spoke about how I believe that everyone should be treated as equals. Yet, there was this sense of separation and this block that I felt and that naturally came to me initially. And I referenced that. I referenced the piano over there, which got tuned up on January 20th, which I'll use to practice for the piano lessons that I'm taking. I'll do that. I also made a metaphor of the bird that I am releasing from my hands and letting fly. And I want to give you an update of what that bird is doing and how the flight of that bird is coming along, because that is the metaphor in the relationship. I got wings. All God's children have wings. Now, what's really fortunate is that as I got to know this person, it really became, such a pleasant surprise that I didn't say, I expected you to be this way. And you went another way. It's like when the mom releases the bird, it expects the bird to go off in this direction. Okay, I'm letting you go, but you need to do this. You need to go over here. That bird, instead of going in that direction, is swerving over to the right, curving around, coming back a little bit, then going off in another direction, and then moving to the center again, and then off, and then the center, like this. Not really going in the straight direction, not doing this. See my hands. But going back and forth, not focusing. The bird is not going where it needs to go. That is metaphorical. And that is a metaphor for his teaching, the teacher that I have, or rather not the teacher that I have right now. And I brought up the civil rights movement because, let's just face the facts, he's even spoken about his thoughts of, racism, and I was saying to myself, well, sometime you're going to talk about it, and sure enough, he did, and he is from, the Caribbean, this teacher that I have from the Caribbean, so French Guiana, I think if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, a colony in the Caribbean. This is where this person is from. And where he is from has nothing at all to do with the issues that are currently being placed. And I was really adamant. I would be looking for flaws. I would be looking for flaws. Those flaws are not how I anticipated them to be. It turns out that I thought that I was walking on thin ice with a type of person like this. But it turns out I think the ice is really thick. So thick that you try to break the ice in one way. I'm not saying, go up and, insult or judge or, do whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. When I first saw this person come into the choir rehearsal last fall, because that's when I first encountered this person coming into rehearsal, he was standing alongside another person who at this point seems much more, well, I'm going to get into it here in just a second, but he was coming in with somebody else who I think was really famous on, playing in, I think, Corgi and Bess or some type of play, maybe, an actor, also maybe a teacher of music. So both of them were coming in at the same time, and they were both really into music, coming in at the same time. And so this other person, whose name I can't remember, was introduced. And then the teacher that I have now, he was introduced. And so it came to my attention that he was not only visiting DMAC, the college that I'm at right now, community college, but he was also going to be teaching. I thought it's a little sudden, this person coming in and then suddenly becoming a teacher. Now, this is really different than the Mars and Aries retrograde experience I had with somebody who was suddenly coming in, or rather not coming in, but suddenly taking over in a way. And I thought, well, you're taking over. Even though this is your job, even though is what you're here for, to be a student teacher, I really do get the feeling like you're taking over. And this is not what I signed up for. I know which teacher I would rather have learned the subject that I learned, which was at the time I took a 20th century world history class remotely during the Mars retrograde in Aries season. So during that whole retrograde season, a little bit into 2021, I was taking that class, and now I view it from that perspective. And so short answer is, somebody was coming in as a student teacher. I shouldn't say his name, because to say his name is saying that is basically like saying digging dirt, just with a different name. Obviously, somebody whose name digging dirt, that's not what his last name was, but it's a word that was similar to digging dirt, digging into something. Continually fixating and bringing back memories that are in one way positive, but in this case, really negative memories. Scorpio, the low road, is controlling and manipulative and power is, it's a power monger. And even though this person presented himself like somebody who genuinely wanted to help people and was a friend to people and wasn't there to cause any, just try to take over. And Mars was squaring Saturn on September 29th. That was about humility, surrender, acceptance of what you don't have power over, and how to use your male energy. Especially with Mars in Aries retrograde. Squaring Saturn in Capricorn. Authority, top down, restriction, limitation. And this person was a Scorpio sun. And you know what? I have the right to be against Scorpios, in my case. I have the South Node in Scorpio. Now, you should balance out the traits of Scorpio and Taurus. I've said this many times. South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, balance it out. Not the North Node above the South Node or completely denying it. But that is a South Node, and it's technically what you're moving away from in terms of negative traits, in terms of past patterns that you're stuck in that you need to get out of. Otherwise, you're not evolving, you're not expanding, you're not growing. And you're not content or happy on a soul level, and that's the North Node point. Anyway, it did bring up, Zach Callison and some issues that I was having in that relationship, but putting all that aside, because that's a totally different issue. This time, with this teacher that I have now, the music fundamentals teacher, and somebody who I have as an applied piano lesson, I'm going to say his name just like I've said Jessup's name. His name sounds American. He is named after somebody else who I didn't really care for. I wasn't too big of a fan of. But the one thing that these two, so this person's name is Paul, the other person's name is Paul. The one thing I liked was the stories that they told. How they taught the class, well, I had some problems, issues and some choice words about that. But they're very different in how they teach. One Paul that I knew is a 7th grade biology life science teacher was dated. He taught in a really old-fashioned way. It was super demanding, a lot of homework. He moved really quickly, didn't slow down. A lot of material and he was dated in his methods of teaching. And you have somebody else who is very different than that. But he does have some flaws. And I'm here to consciously speak to those flaws that this person that I know right now has. Fortunately, it isn't being too serious. Fortunately, it isn't being, too traditional or too, formal or, that kind of thing. fact, it's rather the opposite. In fact, I would even go as far as saying that this person in the classroom is almost a joke. A joke, if I have to be honest. And his accent of where he comes from, the Caribbean accent, is just a little, sprinkling of an extra layer to add to everything. It's just comical to me. It's comical. But let me just back up here. Let me just back up. I sort of jumped ahead a little bit. Let me just back up to him coming in. So basically, my first impressions of this person coming in that day in the fall was when I was in the rehearsal, because I was in concert choir last fall. And this person came in and introduced himself, said he was going to be teaching. He was going to be teaching on Tuesdays and Thursdays, music fundamentals, music appreciation. And I was a little worried that I would have this person as a teacher for music fundamentals. And now, looking back, I had a right to be worried, but not for the reasons that I thought at the time. Now they're different reasons. Now they are different reasons. I thought this person coming in was, really serious about music and somebody who really honored and respected the way that things have always been done, tradition, really, knew what he was doing and coming in, somebody who, hopefully would be a good teacher. Because I've seen stuff on TV about those types of people, Indian people even. Those types of people from foreign countries, to me, are very traditional. And they place a high value on education and learning and getting good grades and all those kind of things. Yet they also believe in smart teaching and efficient teaching and all those kinds of things like that. And let me just take you through kind of the timeline of events here. So I meet this person for the first time. I saw glimpses of him throughout the fall. He did sing in the veterans concert that I was in, which was on November 4th, I think, where he was singing a solo. And his voice was really rich and deep and, that kind of thing. And I would say what I think of it. I would say what I honestly think of that, but I'm not going to because, for obvious reasons, and I wanted to be, open-minded, open-hearted. And I don't feel that it's safe to say what I really think because it's where this person comes from and his voice and his, ethnicity of where he comes from. But, now I really feel more comfortable saying something like that, saying the honest truth, because of the several days in there. And I've only been there a number of days for an hour and a half, basically. But I'm only there Tuesday, Thursdays, and a little bit of Friday. I don't do the piano lesson how it went. It's just I don't feel like I want to do that. I just don't want to come in here and vent about that. I just don't. But there's only so few days and so long classes that I think I have a pretty good amount of thoughts to say that I believe and that I feel and that what I've experienced, up to this point. So I sort of caught glimpses of this person. I was seeing him prior to a concert, probably walking down the hall, looking really kind of serious. And I don't know. But I tried to be open-hearted when I was walking, passing. It was in passing. Another little glimpse is when I was walking by his office and hearing him rehearse. I thought, what a strong voice. What a really strong voice for not as good of a quality of a music department as it should be. Just the two didn't seem to match. I kept walking by that area of offices and people singing beautifully and really expressing themselves for a setting that could be better and more modernized. I somehow get the feeling that when I'm in that setting, it is a little behind the current times. It could be updated. I get that feeling. The building and the department, how it looks. It's pretty small. It's not a whole number of teachers or classrooms. It's pretty tight-knit there. So that's another glimpse. Then, this year, 2023, I was seeing Teal Swan's video about 2023, about meeting people and getting outside of the box of relationships. And I was thinking, well, there is a really good chance I'm going to meet somebody who I consider to be meeting someone out of the relationship box. Really unexpected. I mean, I have to be honest, I never imagined that a music teacher of mine who would be teaching really important stuff to me. I mean, you know what I feel that I need to learn. This teacher who would teach the material would be, fill in the blank, Caribbean, all this kind of thing, all these different factors. So I consider that to be me getting in a relationship with somebody who is, out of the box kind of thing. I mean, you're meeting somebody from, foreign nation. I mean, you meet all kinds of people from different ethnicities. I mean, I don't want to sound like I am separating people and making people foreign or this and that. I really don't. I really believe that, there is unity and diversity. And I'm not saying that there isn't here on this live stream. But I am admitting that, we live in America and we are Americans and we are of a certain ethnicity. And so I'm just saying that it's out of the box to meet somebody from, someplace else. That's all that I'm saying. I just wanted to clarify that. And so, as it was and as it is now, it went on that first day, January 10th. I was in this class with this teacher who was really warm, who is really warm, outgoing, kind, entertaining, engaging, likes to, tell stories and have fun and all those kind of things. Because the first day he was going on and on about, history and about, anecdotes from his life. And, well, that was the first day. I mean, you're introducing yourself. It's supposed to be light and informal. Now, I wish I should have taken a couple of hints to that. I wish I would have taken a couple of little hints from that first day, because that's the first impression. You are presenting yourself as the first impression, and that was a good first impression that he made. And I thought, well, I have no judgments. And he said, on Thursday, we're going to hit the ground running and really get into it. And so I was like, okay, I have good feelings about this person. That he would be someone to, make it easy to understand, clear, that he would be, good. And it wouldn't be too difficult or too confusing. And I thought I was really going to like him, and I had good feelings. So fast forward to the Thursday, January 12th. That was when Mars went direct. It's station direct. A lot of Martian themes on that day and around that day. And he started in right away. But there wasn't any syllabus. There is a class page called Blackboard where the teachers set up links and they set, information, what the content of the course is about, all those kind of things. He still hasn't updated anything from the last semester, so he did not update anything, didn't change anything. There's almost zero organization to the class in that respect, and I was wondering when he was going to update stuff. He still hasn't. And I thought, oh, well, it's the first day, you'll come to it and update it. He still hasn't updated anything. And so he was saying, oh, you'll probably get the textbook and I'll find a way to figure it out. And so with that, I'm going to come to that. But that day that I went in, January 12th, I was really taking in the information and trying to learn all the information, because here we go. This is the time. This is the day. And it started off really clear where I was sitting and I was learning and, trying to learn, and I could understand and I could follow him and what he was talking about, and he made it really fun and, exciting, and something that would keep people, engaged. I want to use that word again, engaged, so that it would, stick. People would, remember, and he claimed to be somebody who would be a really good teacher in the way of being engaging, in the way of doing it in a way where it would stick. And I find it just, wow. Because that first day, I remember sitting in the class. This goes back to that first day that I'm sitting in that classroom. And he said that I'm of the view that the teacher is the one who, makes the students learn and makes it fun and, makes them, learn the information, and the teacher is the one who, is supposed to teach. And, impacts the way that you see courses and you view certain subjects. So I hope that you got that. But, it, that was there for a certain amount of time. And then I started to notice, as one day after another day, that just started to slipped away. Because that first day, that second day, rather, I was learning the information. Then I remember that he was writing all kinds of stuff. Just all of a sudden, writing all kinds of stuff, notes, all this. It got confusing. I didn't get it at that point. And people were asking questions about, some, things which were beyond the level that people were at. So all this information was just coming in. Because, I thought, wow, there is a lot to cover here. And people were asking advanced questions that were, I didn't get, and he wasn't there yet. He hasn't discussed that type of content. And so I didn't get it. I was there, and I was sitting there confused and didn't understand it. And it was too overwhelming. And I got confused and kind of lost. And from that point forwards, forget it. Because then, the next time around, and then the next time around after that, I think about 3, classes, maybe, 4 good classes that I have had, plus today. So this would be January 17th, January 24th, January 26th, January 31st, and today, February 2nd. Those particular days with those classes have proven that this person is not doing his job. It's really ironic that he stood up there and said the teacher is the one that, makes the students learn, and I guess is responsible for them, to grasp the material, etc. And now it's to the point where you're just flipping that around. You say one thing, but it ends up being the exact opposite. I cannot believe that somebody would stand up there and make something really clear. And then based off of those class periods that I have had, it turns out that I have to be the one to initiate, that I have to be the one to learn the material on my own and get caught up with where everybody is, and try to understand, what he is talking about and what's going on in the class, and learn the material and grasp the concepts and have it stuck. And, learn the material, basically. Learn the concepts. Learn what it's about, what we're learning about. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing that you stand up and make it really clear, that this person stood up and made it really clear that, he believes in being a good teacher and believes in, an environment that is really, good for learning. And he believes that, and I agree with that, the teacher, teaches and the students learn from, the teacher. The teacher is responsible. There's also the equal side of that coin, where, the students play their part and do their thing and, pay attention and, do that part. So, that side of the coin, is also there. So it's both sides. It is 50-50. I have a social media post about it's 50-50. It's both the students and then the teacher. So now it's just, the train is just derailed and it's just come to a stop and it's just going off the tracks at this point. Where it's to the point where I started to notice that this particular teacher is not taking his job seriously. There's no organization or structure to the class at all. And in the past, he has not been focused and actually teaching to where people can get it and having fun and engaging in the way of actually teaching. Instead, the music fundamentals was secondary and on the side of whatever else he was talking about. Whatever else that he would get distracted by and go on a tangent about. And, mess around with the, students, have fun, talk about really trivial stuff, especially when he would talk about graphic, inappropriate stuff and hot button heavy stuff, and talking about just really kind of taboo type stuff you wouldn't talk about at the dinner table even. People have brought that up. It is not only the teacher, but the students, because not too many of the students in the class are that serious about it and that focused. They're getting, distracted. They're really talkative. They mess around. They, take the focus away from learning and the music fundamentals and why I'm in the class, why I've registered for the class, and I'm in there with a bunch of students who just want to talk and mess around and get distracted and get off task. And then distract the teacher and take him off task, which is ridiculous. And I was looking at his natal chart because I believe I know the month, day, and year that he was born. Let me just look that up again. Which might, say something in conjunction with what is actually going on. And I don't want to cherry pick when I just mention this and just say this little, detail here. And I don't even know the place. I really don't know the place, but basically there's not too much earth. He doesn't have too much earth in the natal chart. And his natal chart in earth is about structure and practicality and getting down to earth and, that kind of thing. Not too much earth. Whereas the intro to lit teacher I had last semester had, I'm sure, a lot of earth. It was very earthy, all about, cross the I's, dot the T's, doing your work done really well and on time and investing your time and energy into this and taking this seriously and, being willing to go through the process and read through this and, all this kind of things. And, demanded and expected a lot. And now this is the exact opposite. I mean, this isn't, I've never had a class that was just as crazy and ridiculous as what I'm taking now. I've had a couple teachers that are, have personalities where they, do, are, jovial. They like to have fun, all those kind of things. I had, a teacher in high school. It was an English teacher I had for 2 classes. One was English 9 when I was a freshman, and then a speech class, oral communication in fall of 2021. This teacher, and he liked to have fun and joke, and he was really, open, sociable, communicating with people. And yeah, but he stayed on topic and he, did his job where he, taught the class well, basically. Now, I've noticed a pattern where this person teaches and then gets off topic talking about something else, gets distracted, and I'm trying to learn and I'm totally confused by the material, and you're not giving enough help in answering my questions in a way that would be helpful to me, and then getting off on this over here, and some really complicated stuff, and it hasn't been too focused and conducive to learning, and it's been really disappointing. It's been kind of a joke of a class where he is having fun and laughing and getting distracted talking about this over here and that over there, when really he should be teaching the class. And proving what he said at the very first day. Instead, you're not helping me learn. Probably others in there too feeling similarly about this. It's not really helping his case, really selling himself short, not helping with the expansion and development of the music department. And eventually word is going to spread and somebody will come around to the chair of the department and have a complaint about this teacher, that he's not doing his job and doing what he is supposed to do as a teacher. And so, it's really disappointing and it's frustrating. And we did a little assessment today, sort of seeing where people were with their music and, understanding stuff. And I looked at that and I did not get it. I didn't get it. And seeing as he was the one said, the teacher is the one responsible for the students learn. Well, if you had that philosophy, guess what? He is really the one to blame for that. And I'm sitting in there thinking, why am I here? Why am I wasting my time with this? But I'm sitting in there for an hour and a half and not getting anything out of it. And it's just a joke. And you add on the accent of where he comes from, and that in and of itself, well, I shouldn't say that, but that sort of adds a little seasoning to an already wacko dish that you're preparing, let's just say. And today somebody was swearing really loudly, saying the F word multiple times. They didn't say anything to it. It sounded, appeared unaffected like it. So it's all good. It's all, fine. And he wants to present himself as somebody, important, dresses really nicely. And yet, just talks a lot about other stuff and doesn't break things down and focus and do what he should do as a teacher in the classroom. So it is really sad and disappointing. But anyway, Hopefully that'll turn around. Hopefully I will get more out of the class and learn the information, gains, it'll become easier and clearer. And yeah, so that's just what I have to say as of what I have found right now. And what I can say up to this point, which is quite a bit, as you just heard. So that's all for tonight. Bye for now.